ladies and gentlemen, if I tell you that there is one most underrated YouTube channel in the whole world, that is JamieDoer. So she's with me. She's a fantastic copywriter. And I have seen her videos and instantly became a fan of the way she teaches and the way she thinks about copies. And I thought like this lady needs to be, seen by everybody. And I'll start with my audience. So hi Jamie, how are you?
Hi, Giant. Thank you so much for that introduction. I am doing awesome. And hello to your amazing audience. I'm so pumped for everybody to be joining us.
Yes.
And I'm so pumped to be talking to you.
Yes. So my audience, they're like there are three categories of my audience. There is one part of them, they are like strict entrepreneurs, e-commerce guys. They want to learn tips about e-commerce, grow their own business. There is one sect who are students of copy. They are like, getting the starting their careers, and there are freelancers and jobbers who full time do this thing on their own. But one thing common among all of them is that every single one has learned that they cannot, their business cannot run, their campaigns cannot run without a good copy. And hence, I'm like, let's invite all the copywriters of the world to my show and like just talk about copy all day long. And yeah, that's why we are here. So Jamie, just tell us about you. Like, how did you get your start, and did you study copy as a proper subject, or like you just landed upon here?
That's an excellent question because actually, I did not study copywriting in school. And honestly, the farthest from that, nothing to do with writing, even nothing to do with English, or even nothing to do with business. So I was a music major when I
I can
was
see
going off
that.
to, yeah, when I'm going off to college and whatever. So I was actually in the art world, in the music world. And I was in a situation where I was going to go for a specific instrument. It's called bass clarinet. And that meant I only had a few schools that I could apply for a bachelor degree, because usually that's something you would do as like a master's. And long story short, I applied to them all, somewhere in the United States, somewhere abroad. I got my results back, and I did decide to go to a music conservatory in Switzerland. So then that's putting me in a situation where like I'm living in another country. I have a student visa, and I'm sure maybe a lot of people on your channel could have experience with having a student visa. And that could, they usually don't want you to work like more than a certain number of hours, and it could be really hard to get a job in the
Yeah,
country where you have a student visa.
yeah,
So, but that doesn't mean that you don't need money. So, that's two kind of things combined, and I started looking at what is it that I can do from my computer. And the big problem that I had was that it couldn't be a shift work. Like, you could do a lot of stuff from your computer. You could be an Amazon help, like chat person, or like Apple, or a lot of those places will outsource it and you could do it from your house. But the problem is that then I'd have to be there for like 4 hours in a row
yeah,
or five
yeah.
hours or whatever. And with the time zone difference, like that would be kind of hard. I don't think I'd be tricking anyone that I lived in America. So that got me into exploring digital marketing. I had one stop before copywriting, which was making I don't know if you remember when whiteboard videos were really popular, like the hand drawing
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that.
I
So I
did
actually
those.
started with that, yeah. And then from that, I was just exploring business in general. I did that for a while. That was really good. Like, I'd say maybe almost 2 years I did that. But then I was just kind of exploring business, learning about entrepreneurship. I had a few other side businesses, and how I got hooked on copywriting was that one of the side businesses was e-commerce. It was a subscription box. So I feel like that really pegs the time in which I started doing all this whiteboard videos, and subscription boxes ruled the world. But yeah, and it was having that subscription box, just that feeling, Giant, of like sending an email out to my list and then watching money. Like I'd send an
Yeah,
email, and then I'd have a few $100 like within a few hours or something from sending it. And that is what hooked me giant. And from there on, I was in love with copywriting. And then I started learning everything that I can about copywriting. And I ultimately shifted my whole, how could you say, like my whole focus from the other stuff I was doing to marketing and copywriting as my full-time thing. And then I've been doing that full-time for 4 years now. It's been my full-time professional income. And then prior to that, I had done it for probably like 2 years part-time, like as I was doing it through college. So then I graduated, and then I decided to roll it into full-time. And I ultimately graduated with a degree in economics. So as you
Oh
can
wow,
see,
you started as a musician and you graduated with economics. That's
right,
great.
yeah, one side of the spectrum all the way to the other.
No, no, not that crazy. I'm getting my PhD, doctorate in geology. Like
Oh,
that's
wow.
so. I have been a geologist since what, like 4 years, and when the pandemic started, like the university got shut down, and all the jobs I was getting was like, bro, come to this mining area, come to this jungle. I was like, I'm not leaving my family,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
like,
going
I'm
out.
not trying to get
Yeah.
lost or have some Jumanji stuff go on.
No,
Like,
that's fun. That's fun. But I don't want to get COVID in the middle of nowhere. Like there is like, imagine
yeah,
getting
like in the middle
COVID.
of the jungle. Like,
Yeah, like what would you do then? Like no boss, not doing that ever. So I quit that and I came into writing and stuff. So cool. So
how
it's
long
not.
have you been doing copywriting?
So I have like I did not realize it was called copy till it was the pandemic. Like when I was really serious into it. So when I was studying as a student, so obvious reasons, students stipends are not enough. So you go
Yes.
out look for work. So I was working for this channel, and I would write scripts for their videos and their descriptions and stuff like that, and they kind of liked those. And I thought let's try to make some money out of it. So when the lockdown started, I thought like let's apply for businesses.
Mm.
And dude, businesses pay so much more than creators.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So I was like, so this business was like, they hired me to improve the YouTube channel because that was kind of sort of my thing, and I checked out their emails and they were horrible, and thought like, bro,
Yes, I bet.
let's at least fix that part. I don't like your emails. Let's fix those. And when I wrote my first email, they're like, dude, you write really good emails. So you write emails for us. So that's how I got my start.
That's
And
dope. And
yeah.
then grew it like I think it's very similar for a lot of people because I also had something like that where it's like you get the one gig going, you realize that you like it, even the first client gig, and then you're like, oh, that's my thing. Like,
It's my thing,
did you
yeah.
go on to do like, did you then focus on emails? Like when you were talking with other
Hmm.
clients, would you position yourself as like an email person?
No, yeah, initially it was like, it was all over the place initially. Like, I would
Mm,
position myself as a copywriter, and many people would be like, hey, how many sales can we expect and stuff like that. Like, dude, I've never done sales. I have done emails, but that's not sales because
right.
the entire purpose of email is either to like get the click to the landing page or like give value. And I think
Mm,
that's something that we can agree on. I saw your videos, right? and
yes.
and people will be like, how much sales can we expect and stuff like that. Then till that time I had no idea. Then I started reading all these books and stuff like that, and then I realized, oh, okay, this is copywriting and this is how
Yes,
it's
yeah.
done. Like, awesome. What is your like what how did you learn copywriting? How did you come into copywriting phase?
I think I came into copywriting pretty much like how most of us do, and how you guys watching this video right now probably do is self study and determination. So it's kind of just like, again, like Giant didn't have that background. I didn't have that background. Honestly, sales in general is not even something that they teach as a college degree or as a track. And even when you study business in school, like technically economics is a business degree, but you're not going to learn
Hmm.
this type of stuff that you need to know. You're not going to learn how to be a successful business owner from doing that. Although I will say, here's one interesting thing that economics did. It's like it gave me tools and ability to understand how to actually make estimates for how much could we expect to make, how much sales could we expect to make.
Yep.
So I can answer those types of questions for people to some degree, and it's not exactly like a crystal ball, but I can definitely make like worst case scenario, second worst case scenario, and then something that's like pretty likely or average based on, you can look at their list size. You can look at their open rate. You can look at their click-through rate. You can look at the pricing of the products. You can look at the average lifetime value of a customer, and you can actually manipulate those values, and you can start to help people quantify what the value is of working with you. So I will answer your question about how did I get into copywriting, but I think that's a great tidbit for anyone here who's maybe at a, a, a high beginner level that's struggling to break into intermediate. Like if you're struggling to get a project for $1,000 or even $5,000 or something like that, look up, what's it called? Khan Academy. Like just start looking at some basic economic stuff, macroeconomics, microeconomics.
I
But
think
just
it
start
all
watching
comes
through those
down
videos.
to the unit economics. In the end, like you tell
Yes.
them this is what you spend on one customer, and out of one customer you get this value, so you have this much customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a very incredible. That's incredible power,
So you
incredible
guys
skill.
check that out. Google that, unit economics. Look at Khan Academy. Lots of great stuff on YouTube, which is also how I got into copywriting. It was from books. Giant and I have been vibing about how we're huge readers. Yeah, and I think that if you're really wanting to get into copywriting, I honestly think the best way to go about it is to buy yourself a nice order from Amazon or honestly your local library as well.
Absolutely.
I got so many good books from my library, and Giant, you would be so surprised, like new books, like new released books in addition to
I'll
old
tell you,
ones.
I got this from a library. This
Yes, I
is
see the little sticker on there.
yeah, it has everything. It is like discarded from library. And this book, I tell you, this book is called Why People Buy by John O'Shaughnessy. So one of my friends recommended, ki, bro, whatever you do. This is actually imported from US. It took me like a month to get it here.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it has
And
like
I've
the
even got the newest new stuff, like, when Gary V had like released his last book, not the one that he's doing now, but the yellow
jab, jab,
one,
jab, right hook,
Crushing It. Oh,
crushing
he's
it.
past that. Yeah. He's you got to watch my video ranking the Gary V books, Giant.
I
Um,
saw that thumbnail, but I did not click that for some
yes.
reason.
But
Okay.
yeah, he was doing Crushing It, and then that one was the brand new book, and they had that at my library. Or like, I also like the Tony Robbins books, and like when he released the
The
Money Master the Game one, like I was able to find that at the library. So check out your library if money is an issue. Like, and they have great. I found Dan Kennedy at the library. I found some of the more obscure people like Robert Collier and stuff like that. You're probably not
Oh,
gonna find
Robert
there,
Collier.
but
I have it.
it's worth checking.
Absolutely, absolutely,
It's worth checking.
absolutely.
So,
This
that's a
is
good.
from I'm not sure if it is US Jerome Library from Green State University. I don't know if it is in US. It's probably in US. It's like somewhere in US, I guess. But yeah, libraries are great places to look at.
Or buy the books used, like on Amazon when it says it's $10 or whatever, you guys, you just scroll a little bit down and it says other sellers available,
Yes,
and get
yes.
yourself a used one, get it for $2 or whatever. But I recommend probably much what like Giant would recommend. Go get yourself like 10 really high quality books. I'm sure that Giant will be able to pop up some of my video thumbnails here because I have some great book recommendations for you. We're going to
Yes,
talk book
yes.
recommendations as well in this video, but even more book recommendations for you. Get like 10 great books.
Yes.
Read them a few times, like read them once to consume the information, like read it all the way through first and then don't worry about highlighting or whatever. Then read it again with the thought or the intention of taking a pen, of taking a highlighter and processing, get your tidbits that you want to pick out. And then a third time that you read the book, you could have your notes out. Honestly, doing it the 2 times, you'll be surprised like how much you'll remember even just doing that. But if you really want it
Absolutely.
to sink in, then, go ahead, do it a third time and take your highlights and your little notes. And then as you're reading, you're also collecting and, put that into a notebook. Handwriting is really good for your memory, so I recommend a notebook. But I actually just got myself, I don't have it yet, but I'm excited for it to come. It's a smart pen. So as I write my handwriting, it will like export it into Evernote or Microsoft OneNote, and then I'll be able to search my handwriting. Like,
Oh,
but
nice.
type, yeah, if I wrote copywriting or whatever on one of my
I think you
notes, I'd
can
be
get
able
it
to
like
type
if you
copywriting.
have an iPad, I think you can get this pen also. You can just write it
Yes,
on your
yeah, with the
iPad.
Apple Pen or the S Pen or whatever. I like to write on paper though. But that handwriting, like the fact of taking your hand and making the
Yeah,
shapes is what does it. So you could also, if you guys like digital, get yourself a stylus, get yourself an Apple Pen, do your notes like that, or you could be fancy like me and get a little smart pen and use your pen and paper.
awesome.
But I think I would not recommend to buy courses. What do you think about courses, Giant, at the
So,
beginning?
okay. So, yeah, a lot of people ask me, Jayan, just recommend me a course. Like, no matter how expensive, crazy expensive we want to learn copywriting, I'd be like, dude, just listen to or read Adweek copywriting 5 times first. That's
Right.
it. I probably think like that dude has covered literally everything there is to know or know by a beginner. Whatever we talk about, this guy just talks. Like one of my favorite parts of that book is like, what is the purpose of a headline when he mentions that? And
Mm,
I'm like, what is like while I was reading the book, I was like, what is the purpose of a headline? What is the purpose of a headline? To attract attention. Then what? But this dude says the purpose of a headline is for the audience to read the first line. That's it.
yep.
The purpose of
Yes,
the
the
first line.
slippery slide. Every
Uh,
sentence, just make them read the next sentence. Like, you guys, I agree, Giant. And here, you let me know what you think about this. But this is the advice that I give people when they ask about courses or whatever. Is similar to you. Like, stick with the free stuff. Get books because they're affordable. And I tell people, when you should get a course when you earn the money to buy a course. Earn
yes,
money from
absolutely.
copywriting to buy the
Absolutely.
course. And then
Yes.
you will probably be at a level where you could use the information. Because I think that, and again, please feel free to let me know what you think. I just feel like a lot of people want the courses recommendation, even like you said, no matter how expensive it is, because they think it's a magic bullet. Like that, getting
Yeah.
this $5,000 course is going to teach you everything that you need to know. And then you're going to just watch this course and you're going to talk to the next person on your Zoom and you're going to get $100,000. And then you're going to know how to do everything and it's going to be amazing. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Like, first up, a lot of these courses are scams. Like a $5,000 copywriting course, a $10,000 copywriting course, you're not going to learn anything in that you're not going to learn from all these
I think
books.
they would be worth it if it is like highly, highly specialized. Like I would probably take a Klaviyo course because I don't know about Klaviyo email marketing. I know about text
Right.
based. Like it will be
Yeah, like
very, very
a
specialized.
hyper specialized skill and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. But like, let's talk, for example, about, oh, you know what? We can't name names, but so let's describe people who are gurus. Look, gurus, people who are trying to sell you a $10,000 copywriting course, people who have Lamborghinis in their ads and who have fancy suits and who are wearing like flashing their Rolex watch at
Oh my God.
these people don't do their own marketing. Like, I think that that's what people need to understand is that these personal brands, I specialize in personal brands. I
Hmm.
specialize in influencers with hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of lists. And these people have entire teams of 20, 30, 40 dedicated to making it look like it's just that one person. So, DL is not emailing you. GC is not emailing you. Fucking JS is not emailing you.
Oh wow.
So
Okay,
it's
fill those
just,
abbreviations, guys. Fill those letters.
yeah, you could fill that in, but they are not emailing you personally. But they're not even doing their own marketing. That would be like, for example, why would you
I,
hire
I I tell you right
if
now, I'm working for a personal brand. Please don't get me fired.
no,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and it's
We're
a
all
whale like
working,
it's a
yeah,
whale
we're all
like that.
working for people and doing stuff. But
Yeah.
like it's like you wouldn't ask the president of the United States for if you wanted a specialty military information or whatever. You wouldn't hire the president of the United States to come and talk to you about that, because like does that person know? Yeah, like they're familiar with it, but you would probably want to hire the people who are actually doing that, like the general. Or you
Exactly.
wouldn't go to McDonald's and ask the CEO how to make the hamburgers. Like you would probably ask
So true.
the person who's actually doing it. Or even what if there's problems with, could it be more efficient? Are there problems that happen all the time with making these types of things? Well, if you ask the CEO, they don't do that. Like they don't know. You need to ask the specialty person. And that's to tie the lesson the same as these people selling you these courses and stuff for $10,000. They are not the ones doing it. They're the CEO. They're hiring the giants, the me's, the you guyses of the world to do it.
Yeah.
So, make of it what you will.
So
Where's high expensive courses worth it though? Here's what I think is worth it. When it gets you access to people. When it gets you access to people, or when it gets you access to like extensive templates or like back end, or sometimes you're just paying for access. Like you're paying for
yeah.
a real professional, like in your Klaviyo example, or if I charge people $10,000 or something, I'd be walking them through my clients' accounts.
Yeah.
So you can be careful, but also keep in mind that if you're a beginner, that type of high level information is probably not where you need to be. If you
I
if
would
you can't
pay, let's say,
go,
if I have to pay like $10,000, I would agree with that. Let's say I sit with Russell Brunsons of the world, or let's say some highly specialized people of the world. I would probably do that. But yeah, networking is one thing.
but
But
some of them, sometimes it is just like a course with the information in a Facebook group, the same as a $500 course or $200 course, but this one just has more zeros on it, and
yeah,
it's attached to a flashy named person, so it seems cool or whatever. But then you get in there and you find out it's, sometimes you can get more attention from medium, what you could call it, maybe like B-list or C-list type of people. Honestly, again, the people like Giant, the people like me, we're B and C list people, D list people, honestly. But we know what's up because we're the ones who are doing it. So
yeah.
you could get the information straight from the horse's mouth. In a way, the more updated information,
That's
because
exactly
we're
why
the
I'm
ones on the
interviewing
ground.
copywriters, by the way. That's
Yes,
exactly.
yes. Because
So
like people get misguided, and some of these people just want to get you pop, 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 sale, sale, sale. But you and me are really dedicated to teaching people, and we want to see our students. I love seeing, what's kind of funny. Sometimes people ask me like, well, you're so, you're so assertive and everything. Like, I bet that it must be really hard for you to teach people. Um, and that you must like really hate it, like when they do better than you or something. And it's like, no, I feel proud. Like I
yeah.
feel pride in my students. If somebody can go and do a better job than me or make more revenue from me based on the stuff that I taught them, then I just see that as being a good teacher.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I think like copywriter has such a low barrier of entry. Why? Because let's say you read one of these books, like you had enough budget just to buy one book in the world and you just got that book. Whatever you read, you can apply that on, let's say, your blog, write an article around it, or reach out to clients. That's literally email marketing. That's cold email marketing, but that's an email
Yes.
marketing. That's email, right? You learned something and you apply that, and you basically improvise yourself. I mean, I got my first client through a cold email, and I learned that cold email from one of these books. Like, not cold emailing, but I just learned how to reach out to people. So like, people can do that. People can easily reach out to people, grow their careers, and once they grow their career, they can absolutely go ahead and meet other people, and like even sometimes ask your company to pay for your $10,000 courses. Why not?
Right. Yeah. If you are working somewhere, you can have like employee development budget or credit to self-development and stuff. So I like what you said about that, Giant, because I do recommend that people don't necessarily quit their jobs right away. Again, especially before you've made any money with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't buy expensive courses until you, or really any courses, because a book like $10, $20 for an expensive book, 25, I guess, if it's like a hardcover. That's one thing. But if you're gonna spend a couple $100 on something, either get your company to pay it for you,
Yeah.
or don't buy a course until you made that. You made the money to be able to invest in that, because then that is like a sustainable
Yeah.
cycle. And what I don't want to see, which I think a lot of people can get trapped into, is a cycle that's unsustainable of hunting for information, but buying information, but not actually going out and applying it, like you
Applying
said.
it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so easy to apply, dude. Like, what do you want? Like, that's it. For example, let's say even if you have, let's say, $100, you can run Facebook ads, build your own email list, practice copywriting as much as you want because you have a list now, and you get direct feedback, and that becomes a resume. That's your portfolio right there. You
Or
started.
even on YouTube channels, like how you and me have, like, people think that YouTube is hard or oversaturated, or that you're just not going to be able to make any progress. But I mean, to be honest with you, my channel's not even a year old. I have a video here with 5,000 views on it, and I don't
I
do
saw that.
anything.
I saw
Yeah,
that, dude.
like, and it just started popping. Like, the thing about YouTube is that YouTube will connect you with other people, even if your stuff doesn't pop. Like, this 5,000 video views has been on here for 7 months. I think it's actually one of the first videos that I posted. But I haven't done anything. I haven't even been posting on my YouTube
Yeah,
channel. And YouTube
see.
actually decided that about a month ago. It
Let's
decided
make this
that
viral. Let's make this lady viral. Connect her to this Indian guy.
dude, look, Giant, I'm catching up to you. When you reached
Yeah.
out to me, I had like less than 400. I have 689 subscribers right now. I haven't even posted on my YouTube in 3 months.
Okay. I'll tell you the power YouTube has given to me. All right.
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
So what happened is, like, I was reading this book, Expert Secret, and there is a beautiful, beautiful line there. Like, he says, you post one video per day for the rest of the year, and you don't have to worry about money for the rest of your life. I was like, what?
Damn, I wish I read that on December 31st, so it'd be like really
Oh no,
short.
it's still January 14th. It's not late yet. So I thought, like, let's do an experiment. How far can we take it? And I started, like, literally in my morning works. I took out my camera and I started talking about it. I literally started vlogging, and then, like, slowly grew the base. Then I put all my lead magnets on the comments, on the description, and
Yep.
YouTube gave me 1,000 email subscribers. Like,
Wow.
yeah, that's
I
how
mean,
crazy.
the people are engaged, like, on YouTube, and they will really do the work for you. Like, even if you have 0 subscribers, you guys got to think about it logically. Like, YouTube is a marketplace,
Yes.
the same as eBay is a marketplace, except instead of selling stuff to people, they're selling entertainment to people. So, like any marketplace, they are nothing without
The
the
people,
sellers.
the sellers, yeah.
They're nothing
Exactly.
without the sellers. Like, what would eBay be if there was nothing on there? It would be nothing. What would
Absolutely.
YouTube be without Giant and without me? It would be nothing. So we're like, what does it mean to think about that logically? It means you have to understand that from a business perspective, and then consider that, how does YouTube make the algorithm then? Because they need me, they need Giant. They want to keep us hooked
Yep.
on here. So they're not going to let us post a video with 0 subscribers and get literally 0 views.
Yep.
They're just not going to let that happen. They
I-
will
I'll tell you
let
a
you have.
beautiful thing about that beginning stage, I used to talk shit about anything. Like, like I knew that nobody's going to listen, so I would talk anything about anyone. I had to literally delete some videos because I thought like somebody would like
Too
see this.
much.
So,
Yeah,
but that
you
helps.
didn't give the initials, right? You
No, no, no,
said the
no,
whole.
no, no. I don't want to get fired, so like, let's keep it that way. So so cool. So yeah, that's what I liked about your video, right? Like when I clicked on your description, you linked to Flint McLaughlin, McLabs, and that's one of my favorite resources to get some inspiration about copies. Because
Yes, I
McLabs,
think
dude,
Mech Labs is like a hidden gem, honestly. So you guys
absolutely.
Google that. It's called MECLABS, and I'm sure that we'll get it up here somewhere as well. Just Google that, and then search that on YouTube as well, because they have a good
I
YouTube
think they
channel, but
closed
they
that.
also have a huge website.
Flint McLaughlin only has his own personal channel right now, I guess, right? Or
I
is it?
think if you still type it used to be the Mech Labs channel, but I think they rebranded it to him. But I'm just gonna search it right now. Oh, they have their own as well. So Google Mech Labs, they have one, and then when you type it, Flint McLaughlin also comes up. Him, by the way, also I'm friends with him. So we'll get you to meet Flint McLaughlin and John Carlson. Flint McLaughlin's actually based out of
Oh,
where I
really?
live. Yeah,
Wow.
I live in Florida, and
Let's get there. Let's get there.
yeah,
It should
so
be so
We're gonna
awesome.
have a Giant and Jamie take the USA vlogging series.
We'll just have copywriters roundtable, Flint McLaughlin, John Carlton, and
Yeah,
like we'll go
Kevin
over there.
Rogers from Copy Chief?
Oh wow,
Yeah,
dude,
so we'll get them
so
all.
well connected, dude. Like like wow, this is crazy.
Paris Lampropolis. So we're gonna get the whole squad together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so definitely check those out. And then they also have another brand. Have you heard of their brand called Marketing Sherpa?
No.
SHERPA. Yeah.
Marketing
So
experiments is what I heard about, but that's
yes,
not.
Marketing Experiments. That's one of theirs. And then there's another one called Marketing Sherpa, which is a Mech Labs brand, I'm pretty sure. So Google all that stuff. And then Giant,
Awesome.
I'm gonna send you the Marketing Sherpa
Yeah,
on the
got him.
email so that
I'll just
he's
bookmark
gonna,
them right away. That's great.
yes, we're gonna hook all y'all up. We're gonna get all that stuff in the description. So
And just look at Mech Labs. Like they have so many free reports that you can just absorb. Every time I build a landing page, I just go to the resources section. They have some test going on, just they will throw it out to the world. And that's it. Like you don't need a lot of stuff. It's all available online. You just have to look at
right.
the right places, right?
I think one of the most valuable things that the Mech Labs does is when they're showing a video and they're going to show you, hey, we're going to do a test and a B test. But before we tell you about it, which one do you think was
Yes.
the winner? Because you guys will probably be shocked if you go start watching some of those videos. You're going to get that wrong every single time, especially when you're a beginner.
Yeah.
And if you want to know like how are my skills at marketing like progressing, am I growing in my skill set, consider those little self-check things from Mech Labs. They include them in pretty much every single video, I think. So and you're going to notice that in the beginning you're going to get it wrong every single time, and then when you
Slowly
start to
start
get that
noticing it.
first one right, that's how you know the information's starting to sink in there. And
Yeah.
then as you keep going in your journey, you'll notice you're getting more of them right than 0. Maybe you get 1 right and 4 wrong. And then eventually when you become advanced, you're going to get maybe half of them right or more than half of them right. And the big lesson from that, you guys, is just to know that you don't know better than the market.
Market. Yeah, absolutely,
That's what that's
absolutely.
to teach you.
So true, man. I just quote this in my every class and everything. Like, no amount of good marketing can save a bad market.
Hmm.
I said, like, that's the thing. And it takes skill to identify a bad market as well. Like, if you are a good
Yes.
marketer, you should be able to identify what is a good market, bad market, how it's going on, everything, trends.
Well, and so many people I think are not split testing, honestly. Like even from a copywriter's perspective, like I can't tell you how many people I coach copywriters and business owners in their copy. And on both of these fronts, I can tell you that there are people who are not split testing. Even people with lists that you would be shocked. Like people with, you would think that somebody with a list of like 30,000 would know better, but they don't, because some people, particularly business owners, like, or these personal brands and stuff like that, like they have a special skill, which is different from ours. Our collectively, all of us, our special skill is explaining and storytelling. We can watch a passionate creative person like our business owners who we love and support. We can watch them or hear them explain why they're so pumped about what it is that they do. And our unique skill is that we can be like, I get it. I understand why you're so excited. And then we can also see how when they explain it to somebody else, where the other person might not be clicking or they might
Mm,
not get it. And
yeah.
then we can help bridge that gap.
Yeah.
So that's all we do. Is it's almost like people are speaking two different languages and we're
Absolutely.
Google Translate.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Since you brought this topic up, like, Jamie, what is your process of writing copies? Like, I think you mentioned a very beautiful thing. Like, you never start a copy with a blank template. That's
Yes.
what
Yeah.
do you do?
Yeah. But gosh, okay. So let's go down the process. The first things that you got to consider are, what is the product? What's your business? Who's your client? All that type of stuff. I mean, honestly, before I even go into any type of deciding what should be done, and here's something I think is important to know for everyone who's a copywriter. Sometimes when you're, let's say, prospecting with clients, people are going to come to you and they're going to say, I want emails, I want a webinar, I want this, I want that, I need a landing page. Would you guys go to a doctor and say, give me Zyrtec, I want this, I want that? Some people do that.
Yeah,
But and especially in America, the drug companies would love for you to do that with the advertisements that they have and stuff like that. But in general, that's not really how you approach a doctor. You don't go to a doctor and say, prescribe me this,
mm,
prescribe me that. Um, you go to a doctor and you say, like, I have a headache for 2 weeks and it won't go away.
yeah,
I have this problem. I have this pain. This keeps happening. And so when clients come to you, I want emails, I want this, I want that, I want a webinar, I want a landing page. That's what they're doing. They're coming and saying, prescribe me this, prescribe me that. So I think it's really important for everybody to understand, you hear that stuff, like listen to it, process it. Don't just like throw it out in the garbage, put it down in your notes. But you got to go further than that before you
yeah,
can decide that
absolutely.
that is the right solution for what it is that their problem is. So we got to figure out.
Exactly why I not like, sorry
Yes,
to cut you off. I do
go for
not
it.
put myself as an email copywriter. I mean, I do love emails, but even if I write the best email of the world, they are not going to convert if you have a horrible landing page.
Yes. Or even the wrong product, or, like, yeah, horrible landing page. Where'd this audience even come from? Like, if you have a list of 1,000 people who only have your free lead magnet, is going to perform very differently from a list of 200 people, but all those people purchase something from you. Like, even
Absolutely.
if it was maybe you have 200 people who all bought something that was $10, that's still going to be different from a list that's 1,000 people that haven't bought anything from you and just opted into a lead magnet.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out, what's the product? You got to get really clear on that, because I think that a lot of problems with copy. I was actually watching your video today, Giant, on e-commerce copywriting. And you were saying about how people are very self-centered with it. It's very me. Highly recommend you guys watch Giant's video on e-commerce copywriting, and then mine on e-commerce copywriting for beginners, which is, you just go to my channel, sort by, I mean, it's
I'll
gonna be
just
on there,
link it
but
somewhere.
yeah,
If
it's my
YouTube,
most
I
popular
think
video.
YouTube does not allow me. If it allows, I'll put it in the description, put it in the comments, everywhere. Like it'll be there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'll send you the thumbnail too, so you can put it up
Yeah.
there. I'll send you the thumbnails files to these stuff. But yeah, so
Awesome.
watch those, learn more about what this means from me-centered perspective, or business logic, as I call it too. But yeah, like that is a lot of the approach that people take when they're going to be, going out and doing copy. But somehow, even though, like, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Giant, somehow businesses can be entirely focused on themselves,
Oh, so many times.
but still not explain the product.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Oh my God. So I'll tell you an example, okay? So I'm not naming name, I don't want to get fired, but one of my older clients, they were having they had a lot of products. And all I did, like this is the only thing I did for like more than 100 product, is to turn their copies where they wrote features, instead of features, I wrote benefits. That's it.
yes.
We achieved like 500% growth in sales in those particular copies, and that was insane. I mean, not insane, like that was not insane, that was expected. I mean, if you just show the benefits of the product, I mean, let's say I'm selling a Intel i7 processor laptop, who gives a shit? People want better gaming. It's okay.
But yeah, exactly. Like they and to have in a way, like it's all honestly sometimes amazing. Like sometimes where there are feature heavy products, they will sometimes not list the features at all. So you really got to consider, what's the product, what's the type of market. You have to understand the process that people go through for buying that specific product, in the sense that you know in a let's say a beauty e-commerce company, that you could be pretty much benefits only, and maybe a list of ingredients, or potentially a small list of like allergens or something,
Hmm.
compared to with a laptop, like you mentioned. You could be benefits, and it's important to have that in everything, always. But if with a computer you had a benefits only sales page, and I'm a tech person,
Oh yeah, that may
but
not
if I
work.
don't have a list of, and sometimes it can be like that, like,
Hmm.
and computer is a very, how could we call it, like obvious one, where you need to have that type of information. But that's what I mean, you guys, that it comes down to really granular stuff. It depends on the product, and you do have to think about how people make these purchasing decisions. And when people read your copy, they should be able to explain what it is.
Exactly.
So
So true.
let's and what they're getting, and where to make that really sink in. This, a lot of people fall on their face, is information products and courses, because I sell a lot of courses. That's pretty much my specialty, is like influencers, courses. I do a lot with e-commerce and direct to consumer product sales as well. But a lot of the stuff that I wind up doing when I have these products, or I'm like, these information products, is I look at the page, it's heavy sales, but that people don't understand basic information about the course, like how many modules is it? What are you going to learn in each module? Because people like to know that information about courses, in addition to the sales. That
Hmm.
and it's basically like, if you don't have a module breakdown and what's all in it and everything, and what you're getting, what PDFs, what access, how long, if you don't have that information, and a lot of stuff either doesn't, or they have it at a very basic level, that like
Yeah.
it will be a lot of sales, benefits, blah blah blah. Here's how many
Oh,
modules
I
there are and
understand.
what they're called, and then more benefits. Like, when you look at the people who are the big names in this field, like, you know, the Amy Porterfields of the words, the Marie Forleos of the world and stuff, do these people, the John Lee Dumas, the Pat Flynn's, all these people, do they leave question in your mind about how many modules there are, what is in it, what do you get, for how
Absolutely.
long, what access? Absolutely they don't.
Yeah. So
But
yes, so great point, great point. I was going through a copy just like that, you know, and here's a great example. So I was talking to a client, and when he asked me how many words is going to be, and I said like it's going to be somewhat like north of 10,000 words. He's like, what?
mhm,
10,000 words, dude, people will get bored and not buy my course. I'm like, dude, because it is 10,000, like your course will sell because it is 10,000 words, because you'll be answering each
right.
and every single question that your customer persona has. That takes words, and that's why long form copies work.
And if you leave them with unanswered questions, like they're not like, don't make it harder for them than it has to
Absolutely.
be. Like
Yeah.
nobody is going to email you and ask you questions. You can
Mm.
have a chat box on there. Are some people going to do it? Maybe, like maybe, but let's say that for every one person that has a question, it wasn't answered, and does take the time to reach out to you and ask you for clarification about that, there's another 10 people who just went meh and closed the page and forgot about
Yes.
you, and they're never going to come
Yes.
back.
Yes, absolutely. And this is exactly what I do. Whenever I work on a landing page, let's say it's a product, information product, or something like that. So what I do is I ask them this one thing, whenever you do your webinar pitch, send me the list of questions that people ask you, like send me the webinar
Mhm.
chats. Like normally nowadays the chats are getting recorded, so send me the chats, and or like
Yes.
send me the support queries that you are getting, like what are the questions you are getting, all of those.
That's such an excellent point, Jaya. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I completely agree. Like, and you guys, if you have like it's, you're gonna be in one of two situations. And this is also important. And guys, we're still talking about the first step of the process. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
questions that you gotta figure out. Oh, and as far as I want to plug a book. I want to go back to what I was saying about why it's so important to figure out the process that people go through when they buy whatever it is that you're selling. And it will be different. It's going to be different if it's a course. It's honestly going to be different if it's a course in two different niches. Like, got to get really granular about that. Buying a course is going to be different from buying a hair straightener, is going to be different from buying an Instant Pot on the internet. So
Absolutely.
and how do you, like, what does that mean? The process that people go through to make decisions and to purchase this thing. You want to look up a book called How to Change Minds by Robert Joles. We're going to get a picture of that book up here, links and everything, and also the video where I explain more about it. But this book, it's basically explains to you and breaks down the different stages that people go through when they are making a decision. I think that what you need to take away from this book is that overall framework will give you, like, how could you call it, like fill in the blanks
Hmm.
to whatever it is. Like you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know that there's a circular process that people go through when they have a problem, and then they go through all this research process, and it's different from the sales cycle. Like this
Exactly.
book, it's different from the sales cycle. It's similar. It's not though a sales and marketing cycle, because this book, he wrote it for people who um let's say your wife smokes cigarettes and you really, really want her to quit. Like your
Oh, okay.
son bought a motorcycle and you're really, really worried about him driving recklessly about it. Or like your daughter is struggling in school and you really, really need her to understand that she needs to do her homework. Like, so it's pretty interesting because it gets more to that root of human psychology, which you will then, when you read it, you'll understand how that ties into the sales and marketing cycle, but it is fundamentally different. So look up How to Change Minds by
Extreme.
Robert Joles. And that will be like, it will give you words to describe something abstract that you don't have words for yet.
Wow.
So
This is
that's,
going to be my next read. Absolutely.
yeah,
Awesome.
you're going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. So that's pretty much all the stuff in the beginning. And much like Giant said as well, you're also going to be a position where you're in one of two situations. Either the product exists already and has been sold and everything, or it doesn't and it's brand new and you have nothing to go on. So that's something in your beginning stage. You've also got to establish that there's different paths that you're going to have to take, if like different steps, different information gathering, different research, if depending on either of those two situations. If you're having something that already exists, how Giant mentioned, like you want to get those webinar chat, those support requests, questions about the product. And as well, like I mentioned, if you have, or your client already has, maybe they have some calls to action, like if you have an email, if you have questions, or they have a little pop-up chat on the sales page of the actual product, like then of course you're going to want to get that information. And then if it's also already existing, then you're going to want reviews.
Yes.
Let's talk briefly about what to do if it doesn't exist and it's a brand new product. You can do a couple of different steps. You can look at similar, you could go apples to apples, right? Similar product format, similar topic. You could go apples to oranges, where it's a similar topic, but a different product format. So let's say in the world of copywriting, maybe we're going to write a copywriting course. Apples to apples, we could look at other people's copywriting courses. Yes. Apples to oranges, we could look at copywriting books, reviews. And then I call this the tale of two cities methods. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Yes. So when you're looking at these reviews, you want to look at 5-star reviews so that you could see what people absolutely love about it. And then you also want to look at 1-star reviews to see what people absolutely hate about it. And
1-star reviews are my favorite.
Yes, they are amazing. Also, if you're ever like down on a gloomy day or something, like just go on Amazon, click whatever the fuck they're trying to sell you, read the 1-star reviews, and that will cheer you right up.
The reason is like a person who is happy, they don't have a lot of words to express. Like, okay, it's good, it's a great product. The person who is unhappy, they will have so many words to describe, like, oh, this happened, this broke down. I put it on charger and suddenly it just went into flames or something like that. So, people complain a lot who have only 1-star reviews. So I
am so glad that you mentioned that and that's an extremely important point, Giant, is about even in these reviews, the quantity that people write is important, and that is a factor. I actually have a whole video that I made all about research as well, so maybe we'll link that. Maybe I'll send you a nice list of things that people can
you put it in a playlist. You put it in a playlist.
Yes,
I'll put that in here.
Yes, yeah, that would be dope. Because I want you guys to have as much resources as possible, as much help as possible. And I do have a whole separate video where I went like for 30 minutes just about this research process. So you'll get so much
in my
more.
program where I teach people e-commerce, basically, not just copywriting. I talk about a lot of stuff. So the research video, I had to split it into like 4 different categories, and each one of them was like an hour and a half long.
Yes. I mean, research is the most important part of this process, you guys, because honestly, your research writes your copy.
Yes.
Just flat out. True. And I've literally had it to the point, Giant, where like, as I've been doing research and collecting stuff into my research document, I literally not just get the words, but I'm like, this is perfect. This is going to go on the top. Oh my God. This gave me an idea to have like a 1, 2, 3 type of section, like showing the process. Like, oh, that gave me an idea that we're going to have a court. Like I get not just only the copy that's going to be on there, but sometimes like the actual structure of the page I get just from doing the research. Cause oh my God, that would be an amazing headline, or like, that should be a whole section. Like we really need to address that part. Absolutely. So that's the first step, you guys. All that research, all that explanation, and the many more aspects of the research that you've got to learn about from the playlist that we're going to put up, and also all of our other information. From the research, then
Absolutely.
you want to develop your strategy. So pretty much what that would look like is you will be telling your client, and again, when they come and they say, I want you to prescribe me this, that, and the other, maybe that's right. I'm not saying that you should throw that away, but I am saying that be curious about that. Not
Yes.
critical, curious.
Curious.
But be curious about that. Don't take that as gospel. Don't take when people tell you I want X that your job is to give them
Yes.
X. That's the
Yes.
difference between low paying and high paying. People pay you more money when you're able to tell them why.
Yes.
And telling them
So true.
why means probably explaining to them why what they want is not enough, and they're
Yes.
going to need to do something way more.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Or
So
they
true.
could do what they want, but maybe get a different result. But you're not always going to be able to, like, write 5 emails and double the size of their
No, no,
business.
no, that's not. I think Joe Sugarman like cleared that concept off my head. Like you should be clear what should be your KPIs at. Because if I write emails, my job is not to give you the sales. My job is to give you the click. That's it. Because I'm not selling. There is no sales system in email. The sales system is a landing page, and that has to be on point. And yeah, and I agree with you. Like whenever I quote my clients, let's say there is a work and let's say it pays me $5,000, the way I would break down is doing the research, $4,500, writing the copy, $500.
$500. Yeah.
That's how it goes. Awesome.
And it really is like some of the longest the longest part of the process overall. So then I want to go with what it is that you mentioned earlier, where you said about, in my process, we never start with a blank page. So I would say that this is pretty important. After you do all this research and stuff, it's going to take you the longest. All that stuff in the research, that's the most important part, and it's going to take you the longest by far. Now it's time to go back to what Giant had said earlier, which is that you never start with a blank page in my process, and that is extremely important. So basically, from all of your research, you would then decide and tell the client officially either, yes, I think that like what you want is gonna get you to your goal, or I think that what you want is mostly gonna get you to your goal. Okay, so you're gonna tell them either, yes, what you need, it's gonna get you to your goals, or you're going to tell them what you need is mostly going to get to your goals, but we have to add like a few things. Or you're going to be telling them, I love your plan, great ideas. Yes, and though, here's what I think that we need to do based on my experience and my past client results. And then maybe you got to like pivot them somewhere
I'm
else.
like, I usually put out some competitors' email. Like, for example, like there is a guy and there is a direct competitor, because from the research you can always find out the competitors. I'm like, dude, your competitor is doing this, and you absolutely need to do this because it's working for him. And that riles up the clients like anything. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Everybody's like,
yes, exactly. And so from that process, you're going to have all your assets established. You're going to know that you need to be writing emails for a certain purpose. You're going to know that you need to be writing a landing page because maybe it's a brand new product. You're going to know, and you're going to have what I call a list of marketing assets. And a marketing asset is like an email. So 5 emails is like 5 different assets. A webinar script, like that's an asset. A landing page, that's an asset. These are marketing assets. So you're going to have a list of approximately what type of assets you need to be writing.
yes.
Then let's just take the approach of an email, and let's say an email sequence, and let's say that maybe it's a launch series. So I have like a specific templates, which you can find on my YouTube channel and in this playlist, and maybe this thumbnail. But I have specific processes of like what type of email sequences I'm making. So in this case, it's a launch email sequence. And I already know, because I've invented through my work with clients, it's going to be 10 emails. The first email needs to be like this, like it's a hard sales email, and we're going to go in hot. We're going to be, really salesy, really steamy, and really like strong closing on the end. And then the next email, like we might teach them a lesson and then have kind of a soft transition to the sales. And then this email might be like an FAQ. So you'll learn all about that in the playlist later after this amazing interview, but with the best host on YouTube. So basically you then want to outline your asset that you're writing, or in the event that it's a landing page, you're going to have a few different parts. You're going to have a headline, you're going to have a sub headline, you're going to have a body copy, you're going to have a price table, I call it. Even if it's only one price, you're going to just put a little brackets for price table. And then you're going to have the conclusion, and you could have multiple price tables and whatever, but that's basically going to be it. And then the structure is going to kind of come as you continue to write, or also based on the price of the course, how much you need to write and how many different pricing tables you should have, and when you should tell the price. Like the more expensive it is, the more you want to tell them about the product before you tell them about the price. So that's like, honestly, just in that 2 sentences, I saved you like reading 5 books. So that's some good strategies. You're going to outline this stuff.
Yes.
Let's go with emails, because I think it's more clear because it has that super clear structure. And your research, you're also going to want to look at your clients' stuff. Like if they're a public figure, get familiar with their YouTube, their most popular YouTube videos, their content, what people like to hear about, all that type of stuff. Then you start to take from your research, this is called the outlining step. So you've written, like in this case, because of the emails, we know exactly how many emails there's going to be. We know what types of topics need to be addressed in each email. Then you're going to go from your research document, and you're going to start plug and play. And then even when we go for emails, I am outlining them to even further degree of like, not just like email 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah to 10. And I write that, this is what needs to be in this one. Like they have little names, so I put the little names so I know what has to be in there. Then I'm also writing a placeholder for like, hey, first name, comma, a place for my notes and the body copy. And then I put a bracket and I put name and then comma and then a bracket and then I write sign off. So you're not starting from a blank document at all. You're starting from something that's structured, something that you know exactly how many things there's going to be. You have a pretty good idea of what needs to go in what order. And then all you're doing now is you're putting stuff in order.
Absolutely.
You're going to then go on your research, and then you grab little bits and pieces of your notes and you just go, you pop them in there.
Yep.
That
Although
until you
it
complete
not
the whole
it need
thing.
not be very, very solid. I think it can be a little bit fluid here and there, but most of the time it stays exactly like that, what you mentioned most of the time.
Right. Well, and especially like it does really depend on what you're writing. But like that's why the research is so important, because like, Giant, for example, you're in the academic world. Like, wouldn't it be crazy to think of writing an academic paper like with no point and no research? Like, what would you even write about? You gotta have an idea, and then you got to go and do research, collect data, look at what other people like. Academic paper is very similar to copywriting. You're just doing like different types of research and looking at different things, but in a way you want to know what your competitors are doing, except in academia we call them collaborators, even though they are still competitors. But yeah, you want to know what your competition's doing.
Don't talk all these things out loud, please.
The collaborators, but you want to know what other people are doing out there in the world. You got to look at other academic research papers in the area that you're thinking about your idea. And then you got to go and collect your research document, which is your ideas, and you ask questions and you do research and you get results, and then you've got a big thick thing of research.
Yeah.
And from that, you start to get an idea of, okay, well, what should actually be in this paper? Like, usually you know your idea and what you want to prove or disprove, but like, you know what product you want to sell,
Yeah.
but there's still
So
more
much
that
going on.
needs to
Yeah.
be done between, beginning to end. And so just as ridiculous as it would be to say like, hey, Giant, go ahead and write an academic paper, and here's what you want to test, go ahead and write it. Like, obviously there's more
Yeah.
steps that need to be done. And copywriting's the same. Like, sometimes, but business owners, when they're approaching copywriters, sometimes think like that. They sometimes think like, okay, well, here's what you're selling, so go ahead and write it. And you can't just tell someone the name of your product and then expect them to be able to go and sell it.
Oh,
Um,
wow. So many times it has happened.
but you got your research document, you're popping stuff in, you're organizing it. Then you, I guess, exhaust your research document. At that point, you will then know, am I in a good place? Like, you'll be able to literally look at it and see with your eyes, do I have enough information or not?
Yeah. I think when it starts to repeat a lot, when some information comes again and again and again, I think you pretty much know that, okay, this is something that we have seen.
Or on the other hand, like, if you pop all your stuff in, you've exhausted your whole research document, but you're seeing there's a few emails that only have like 2 or 3 points, then or you go and organize everything and you have stuff that's completely blank. Like, then you know that you literally, guys, doing this process, it's going to be night and day for you. Like, you're going to have so much more clarity on, am I done yet? Like,
Yeah.
are we there yet? Because by doing it this way, instead of just doing what a lot of beginners, I think, do, where they get a product and they go ahead and try to write the academic paper with no research, like no research, no looking at what other people are doing, no, absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. This way, you will know, how close am I to being done? How close am I not? Like, do I have enough information, or are there significant parts of this system that don't have anything in there? And then you know that you need to go and do some more stuff. But let's say that it all worked out great and you did that, and then you have all your bullet points and everything looks pretty full and pretty fleshed out, like, looks good. Now we're in the drafting stage. And so again, you guys, you're not starting from a blank paper. I know
Yes.
the blank page started when you open the document,
That's
and
it.
then immediately you were able to put something on there. No longer are you dealing with a blank page.
Yeah. But don't open the document before you do the research. Do the research, then open.
Right.
Probably do that.
Do the research, open the document, and then decide, am I writing? You got to have that the clarity. Do you feel like, Jaya, I've noticed this on looking at beginner copywriters, coaching beginner copywriters, even when they're practicing, sometimes people will send copy for review and they'll be like, I wrote this copy, what do you think about it?
Oh, so many
And
times.
sometimes
Wow.
I'm just like, but what is this? Like, is this a Facebook ad? Like, is this an email? Is this a page? Like, sometimes I think that's a huge problem that beginners have, is that they
Yep.
will go and write a copy
Who is this
without,
for? Like, that has to be defined. Like,
yeah, like, always skipping that whole number 1 part. And even if they did, it's like they jumped to number 2. Like, maybe they did some research about the product and
yeah,
whatever,
absolutely.
but it's
So
like,
I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this.
yeah,
So I was applying for a company. Like I was asking them for, like, I reached out to them, and their human resources called me back, and they're like, Jayant, this is the example. Like, this is kind of a test assessment that you need to do. And they gave me, like, okay, there is going to be a webinar, and the guy who is taking the class is a divorce lawyer. No, he says he's a marriage lawyer. He did not say it's a divorce lawyer. And basically, you have to write a copy for it. Even if he's a divorce lawyer, I still need to get some idea about the clients, right?
right.
Like, so I wrote the entire copy. I was like, since I was not provided with a client brief or the customer brief, I'll just roll with it. And I wrote the email, and it turned out to be the exact opposite, because they told me about this guy, and I researched on them, and I thought he's a divorce lawyer. So I wrote it for like couple. And the headline wrote, "Is your partner cheating on you?" Turns out it
Oh
was
God.
supposed
And
to.
then what is he like talking about? Like, planning your estate or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I was
he's
like,
like staying together as a married couple, and you're like breaking up, getting divorced.
so many times it has happened. Like, that was such an insane. That guy got furious on me. Like, I was like, dude, if you have at least given me this idea, who is this for? That is most important.
Yeah, you guys, and that is so important. And it's even important, like when you're practicing stuff, that it's a huge mistake that so many people make, is to just pick a product, try to write something. Like, you need to at least decide, what's the placement? What
Mm.
type of marketing asset is this? Is
Yes.
it an email? Is it a landing page? Is it a magazine ad? Is it, even if it's a magazine ad, what type of magazine is it? Because it could be, there are still magazines where, and still industries and still niches where you would be writing more old style direct response type of ad, where it's an editorial type of style. Or if you're, but you're not gonna, maybe if you're doing something specialty, like you're a very high-end exclusive resort and you're advertising in the American Express, like a customer magazine like that, you might tell them more detail, more, here's the dope stuff you could get, and here's where this is, and this is the deal, the package, the all-inclusive resort, whatever. You're going to write something completely different if you're advertising in People magazine
Yeah,
than you are if you're
absolutely.
going to be writing in, a specialty magazine for that type of thing. And whatever, is it a script that's supposed to be read out loud? If it's supposed to be
Absolutely.
read, is it a VSL? Is it a base cam video? Is it a voiceover with just like regular B-roll and stuff like that? Like, you have to have that type of clarity even when you're practicing.
Yes,
So before you
absolutely.
write your next practice fake, like, I'm writing a copy because I don't have clients and I want to just practice and flex my muscles and whatever, just that one change will make you a much more powerful copywriter. And it will also like make your learning carry you so much farther, because
Mm.
what you're doing is more real. Like, it's more like real life.
Yeah.
So that, if we're giving you a lot of information, a lot of resources, a lot of stuff to check out. If you're a beginner copywriter and you make just one change from this whole thing that will make you way better, just do that. The next time you go to sit down to practice your copywriting,
It's going to be whole
first
different.
decide, what is it? What is this asset? Tell yourself, instead of just, I'm going to write a copy for this product, tell yourself, I'm going to write email copy for this product. I'm going to write a Facebook ad for this product. I'm going to write X for this product. So you make that one change, you're going to learn so much faster.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
you're going to become effective in the workplace, effective to your clients. Because just, it's not like that. Like, it's not like that somebody tells you, hey, write copy for my course, and then you just like give them this random page with like no structure and just a lot of sentences.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that makes sense. And a person who has done good research, like a copywriter who has done that research part really, really well, they can absolutely land clients on retainer. Like, I have clients on retainer just
Yeah.
because I have something. It's literally an asset. Like, your research copy, that all jumbled up Word document or the Excel sheet where there are a bunch of lines that nobody could understand except you. That is a big asset for this company. And once you like just hit it off, like figure this out, nothing like it. You become an asset for the company.
Yes, exactly. Once you start to implement this type of process into your work, the first and always the research takes the longest, but like Giant said, as you keep working with the same client over and over, like, all the legwork that you put up in the front to do all that research, well, guess what? Like, next time your research is shorter and you are a more valuable asset for that company, like, you can work faster for them, get the stuff out faster for them. You're not going from 0 to 100. Instead, you're going from 100 to, just clarity research. You should always research, even when it's a client that you're extremely familiar with, but then you're just more finalizing details, like dot your I's, cross your T's, just double check that you understand like how much what's in the course, what it covers or whatever, like if it's something new or something like
Exactly.
that. But then you don't need to do as much legwork every single time.
Absolutely.
So to continue with the process, just summarize. Well, I'll summarize it real quick at the end of the 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, so then you finish your outlining process. You've taken all that stuff, you popped it in there, and now you're staring at a thing that, let's say it all went well and you don't need to continue to do any more research. Now you're staring at a document that tells you exactly in what order, what points you're going to be bringing up. So from that, you just go and start writing it. And Giant, it can literally look like, sometimes it does look like just undoing the bullet point.
Yep.
And going on to the next line. Like sometimes it's like by the time you do this outlining process, I would say that each email is at least between 50 to 70% complete.
Yeah.
At a minimum. And sometimes it can be 90% complete, 99% complete, like just by doing this process. So then the first draft is like the shortest part when you start following this process, compared to I would think that for a lot of beginners, the first draft is the longest part to complete it. And you really need, especially if you're a beginner trying to learn how to do this, like the most important thing is to have a complete first draft. And even when you're a professional, and as professionals, like I'm sure, Giant, you get writer's block and creative block sometimes.
So many times. But I
Yeah,
think
and
once you do the research, the creative juices start flowing because you have the data, right?
Exactly. Like this gives you a repeatable process that it does not matter if you are tired. It does not matter if you don't feel creative. It doesn't matter if you're inspired. Like we don't get, and when you want to do this as a profession, you're a professional writer and a professional salesperson. So you have to keep writing, even if you don't feel like it, or you partied too much and you're hungover. Like you gotta just keep doing it. And this gives you a literal process with no thought. You just go ahead and chug along, do the steps, put the hours into the steps. If you feel uncreative and you don't want to do this, spend 4 hours doing this research process, spend 2 hours plugging it into the outline that you already created. And you guys, like this is done for you. Like later in the playlist, you'll see the other videos that I made, which Giant has watched, and I do it live. Like so you don't have to guess or have confusion about like, what does this look like or whatever. You'll get to write copy right over my shoulder. So you can have that image. And it's like, I'm sure you read a lot of self-help books too, right, Giant? So it's like that.
Not a lot, but I read a lot of business books. So
well, or even like, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of like envision yourself doing something like, if you want to give a public speech, picture yourself, get a really clear mental image of you delivering the speech. And so in the same way, this will help you guys. You'll get this visualization, now again, your brain has words and images to put to a concept that was just a blank question mark. Or I like video games, so we call that a fog
like
report.
this is the exact concept in that ad with copywriting. He mentions that once you're done with the research, just go out, party, just do something, but back up the mind, you just keep it churning, like okay, let it work.
Yeah, because you can't, your brain will kick it all around, and relaxing is a good way to get get more ideas or whatever. And so what I do after I finish that draft as well, that's one of my big times to like take a break, go do something fun, or sleep on it. And so then the final step from that is editing. And again, honestly, you guys, editing can take longer for me in this process than the first draft, which
I hate it when I edit. Like I'll write the first draft, I'll sleep, I'll wake up, I'll look at that draft, And I was
You're like,
like,
who wrote
oh,
that?
fuck. Who-
Who wrote that trash?
what was I
Not a professional.
thinking? Oh wow, so many times. Every time, not so many, every single time. It's like I've never seen a perfect first draft ever.
Right. And then by doing this, then you got the editing, and then also sometimes to cut the process down, like you can have somebody else do the editing for you, or like the proofreading. But the big lesson here is between the step 3 and the step 4, between finishing your first draft and then the editing, you cannot do that back to back.
Mm. Mm. So true.
So don't write the first draft and then immediately start going into editing.
You'll
You've got
become
to take a break.
frustrated first of all.
Yeah, you got to take a break. You got to go to bed. You got to sleep on it. You got to go do something fun, or honestly, and we're all professionals. Like sometimes it's been crunch time. Like sometimes deadlines are deadlines. Deadlines are the most important. But even if it's literally just like go to sleep and set an alarm to get to it right the next morning, or eat a meal and watch a few episodes of TV so that you have at least a few hours. But the more the better. And at least if you could take really 24 hours minimum, that's ideal. But life is not always ideal. So that's a few other tricks
I
that.
think even like a simple power nap is more than enough to get you there.
Yeah, well, and is it ideal?
No.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it kind of get you through it, absolutely, and the crunch times and everything. But now that you guys have this process, it doesn't have to be like procrastination station either, like you can. And in a way, now you have what they call productive procrastination, that if I really don't want to start a project, or like I'm having resistance, or again, like I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling like it, I'm not feeling creative, I just know the first, like, you know what, just spend the hours, like just put the hours into the work, just open the research, like that's all I've got to do today, just
Yeah.
open the document, spend 4 hours researching. And if that's the only thing that I did about this thing that I'm feeling like all gross and procrastinating about, then I will have progressed it further. It's
Yes.
more than nothing. I am then not starting from a blank page. And also, if I'm feeling like really bummer about it, go ahead and set up your template, because seeing that page be full and have a structure, or
Yeah.
like literally to
It
see it
helps a lot.
have
Yeah.
something more than just a blinking little cursor,
Yeah.
it will help you. And then maybe that's all you do on the first day or two or whatever, but you've then still made progress. You're not doing nothing, and you're also not wasting your time, because you
Exactly.
could be doing something like what is wasting your time when you're feeling uncreative and about a specific project, but you actually have to do the project. Reading articles about copywriting and watching YouTube videos about copywriting,
Oh
because
wow.
that, unfortunately for me and Giant, that is the truth, that it's not going to move you any further towards finishing the project. And at least by this, you can give yourself a new procrastination habit. And I am not I accomplish a lot. I have a great business. I get incredible results for my clients and everything like that. But I'm not going to say that it's because I'm the most organized person, or the most, like, I am a workaholic, but like, I don't know, not like the hardest worker or the most courses or whatever. It's because I just know how to do like minimum viable steps. And I
Yes.
take those steps
Yes. Very like wow. I
constantly.
love this concept. Yes. Absolutely. In fact, like whenever I in fact write my copy, I making it the most perfect copy in the world is probably not always the goal. It has to be like it should answer all the questions in the customer's mind. It should provide all the information. That's it. That
Mm-hmm.
works most of the time. Like yeah, everything on top is of it is like improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what MVP is so important.
Yes. And so I just wanted to summarize the steps in order real fast, because we talked about them a lot. But so the first step is your research. That's your most important step. That is going to take probably your longest time, especially when you fully switch over to this process. Then after you finish your research, you got like a nice thing that you're looking at. The second thing that you're going to do is get to your outlining. So what does outlining mean? That means you're opening up your document, and, copywriting is also about learning structure. This stuff, copywriting is not a random stream of consciousness like on the page. It is targeted. It has a specific purpose. So you're going to decide on your outlining step, is this emails? Is this a landing page? Is this an opt-in page? Am I writing a webinar script? You're going to have different structures depending on what it is exactly that you have to be doing. But in your outlining step, you are deciding the structure then or what asset it is that you're writing. You're going on, you're opening your blank document for the first time. Then you're going to be adding in, let's say, the example we've been going with the email marketing and the launch sequence. I know for myself what that's going to look like, how many emails it's going to be. And you can steal my exact process on the videos in this playlist and everything. Then you are going to start, you want to put out that structure, whatever it is. Then you're going to start taking in your outlining process. You go to your research document and you're just grabbing and plug, grabbing and plug in, grab, plug in. You'll then, through this outlining step, exhaust your research document. You're going to have a decision point. Then you have no more research. You plugged everything in. You decided what wasn't relevant and you weren't going to use it as well. You got to decide at this point then, is this enough? Like everything seems pretty full and has pretty enough points, or are there significant pieces that are missing that don't have any information or enough information? You might need to then circle back to your research at that point, like do more research if you've got to flesh it out. But we're going to assume that you lucked out. And honestly, that doesn't usually happen to me either. Like I rarely have to go back to the research, but it is a possibility. So that probably won't happen to you. If it does, you know what to do, but it probably won't. So then from there, you're on step 3, which is your first draft. Now you're sitting down to write your copy, and you already know what you're going to say. It's already there in a nice ordered bullet point list. Plus, the great thing about having this outline giant and having it all in front of you is that before you start writing, you could start, like, you have a good visual of the order, and it will already help you to understand, oh, I want to change. I think we should talk about this earlier and this later. Like, so you can scan your outline, get a feel. You already have a very solid idea of what the flow is going to be like by the time you finish that step. You got your final tweaks, so you could shift around these little puzzle pieces. From there, you're on step 3, which is your first draft. You complete then your first draft. And in the case that it's emails, I personally like to not edit until the whole sequence is drafted. So I might take a day to a couple of days, depending on how many emails it is. But basically, I'm working down that document, bam, 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 till I get to the bottom. And then everything has, we've got 10 first drafts of emails sitting there.
Absolutely.
Then you're going to take a nap.
It's so important. So important.
It really is. Or do something fun, like, because you cannot go from this first draft into the editing. Do not roll through that. What's going to happen if you do that is you're going to have to edit again. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're going to do a terrible job editing. And then you're going to look at it still another day, and it's still going to be a hot mess. So just save yourself the time. It's a waste of time to try to start editing immediately. So you've done your first draft. You give yourself a nice pat on the back, give yourself a little reward, have a little something, a favorite meal, spend time with a loved one, cuddle your pet, go to sleep, take a nap, go do something fun, take a walk. Very important. That's the end of the first draft step. So don't skip it. Then finally, you're going into the editing. The editing can be the fastest part of some of this whole process because of how the other steps layer on top of each other. Just like building a house, you have a strong foundation that like when you've built the foundation right and you've built the walls right and you like measured everything and you had like a professional architect like make plans, usually by the time you're putting the roof, it's not like you're finding a major problem that you didn't know about or whatever, like, you
Yeah,
know, so
so
this
true.
is our roof, is the editing. And it's like you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, check everything, you know, this process is fail proofs built into it. So you should not be getting to this part of the process having major questions, having major problems, having major sections missing. Like you would have found that out already, and now you already know exactly what to do when you face those types of problems. And then you edit it, and then you guys, it's time to either send it to the client, or you know, it depends on how you're working with them. Sometimes you might just be pop it in and send it out. Other times you might be sending it to the client and then they have their team handle it. Or at that point, after you finish this editing process, you then give it to the client for their approval. And if they have changes, you might have a second editing process and stuff like that. From there, the following depends, you know, on some big companies might have like a legal review. Like it really
Yeah,
depends
that
on what it
that
is that you're
does. I was
doing.
wondering why you did not mention legal reviews. That
Yeah, because, well, you know, a lot of the time it's not the case, and it really depends on but in, you know, you guys, what I want to give you as much information and professional background like as possible. So really
yeah.
expect, if you want to specialize in finance, if you want to specialize in even potentially software as a service, but the bigger the companies that the software targets, like if you're
Okay.
you know, if there's a difference between software as a service for creatives and software as a service that targets like Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 5000. The bigger the companies that they target, you're probably going to have a legal review. Almost
Hmm.
anything in finance, you're probably going to have a legal review. And then if you get into some, just like I would call it institutional or organizational selling. So that could be stuff where you're selling to hospitals, you're selling to schools, companies is also like an institutional or organizational selling. You're selling to government organizations, you're selling to nonprofits or whatever. So that is just as far as legal review. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a background and a little bit of knowledge on what to expect. Certain health products might also have a legal review, but not usually, not usually.
Awesome. That was like that was a mini course on copywriting, guys. Like she just shaved you like she shaved you like $997 off. Oh wow. I'm gonna use this as a lead magnet. I'm like put watch this video and save $997 on your next
Yes.
copywriting course. That would be so awesome. Oh wow.
I mean, you literally don't need it, you guys. And that's why, you know, I want to give you all as much value as possible. I so appreciate you, Giant, and giving me the opportunity to share
Absolutely.
this with your audience and with you and us to connect as well.
Yeah.
I've
Let's
had
connect
so much
some more
fun.
like let's nerd about copywriting a lot because I love
Always.
talking to yeah.
Yeah, I'm always happy to come to be here. And you know, we want to review copy together. That could be fun. We might get some
Oh wow.
panels together.
Imagine we
That could be
roasting a
fun.
bad copy together.
Yeah, I would also love, like, you know, if you want to have me as like a private teacher in some of your community stuff as well. Like I would love to help like out with your
Awesome.
community. I love teaching. So
Awesome.
I just love helping people who are lost, because copywriting might have a low barrier to entry, kind of like we've talked about a little bit, but just because it's a low barrier to entry and there is a lot of people, it doesn't mean that you can't be successful or that you
Exactly.
can't make money, because
You'll
it's
be
just like
surprised,
it's
like even if it's a low barrier of entry, a lot of people
are
kind of give
not
up.
great.
You know,
They're not
like
great.
yeah.
No. I have entire, because so I actually do, maybe this is important to know too, and you might even want to put it in the front. So I did move up, let's say, from copywriting to now I actually do more consulting. So I
Hmm.
do a lot of I have clients on retainer who have me do chief marketing officer services. So I'm supervising KPIs, taking accountability for hitting KPIs, leading
Oh wow.
teams, training teams, hiring teams, putting processes into place, like leading meetings, developing strategy, like make sure so I supervise and hire copywriters now,
Nice.
actually, which is something I've been doing for
Oh, you
about.
have developed a process. So, I mean, if anybody, so this is what I have done. So, in my work, in my business, I have like two guys under me. So,
Mhm.
what I did is like I trained them with content writing first. Like you need to write at least good blog posts first before coming to copy.
Right.
And I have like SOPs in place, like, bro, follow this code, then you write, so that I know if, let's say, tomorrow one guy leaves and he gets better careers prospect, and if somebody else comes in, he will have the document to go through
Yes,
and like get started.
exactly. And so when it comes to people having like a low barrier to entry into copywriting, and maybe you're watching this wondering like, can I really do this? Or like, there's so many people, like, is it too late or whatever? I can tell you personally, I hire copywriters. There's room for more good
Oh
copywriters.
wow.
Like I just like most job applications as well. Like people get overwhelmed when they apply for a job and it's like 1,000 applicants, but it's like maybe if you just eliminate people who didn't follow the directions, like that throws out more than half of them.
Yeah. And if you
Um,
are, right, applying for a copywriter job, you need to be a good copywriter even in your resume. My resume literally says like, made a shit ton of money for my clients. I can do the same for you. It's like
right. Well, and
systematically.
it's like, man, I would love to have a whole. I talk a lot about like we didn't even really get to talk about yet
Yeah.
sales strategies and stuff for
Oh, that's another
freelancers.
topic I love.
We could have a whole other conversation about
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because like the biggest problem is that people when other copywriters apply to a job, just apply. Okay, if you see something and it seems interesting and then you're like, "Oh, a lot of people already commented on it or whatever," just apply. Cuz unless they said it's closed specifically, it's not.
Mm.
So just apply
Yeah.
because most I could have 100 applications and I only decide to move forward with 4 people.
Yeah. I do
So,
that. I do have a lot of processes in place to hire also. Like,
right. And it's just like, and you know too then from reviewing people's
oh.
applications, they're not good. They're not good, you guys. So,
I literally wrote an article around it. So what I did, like, I posted it in one Facebook group. It was for a content writer position because that's my.
hmm,
It's not just copy. I provide content as a service as well. And what I did, like, I wrote, I need content writers on, let's say, pet niche. Then like in Facebook, you see the see more button, right? So I
hmm.
added a lot of dots next to them, and below see more button, I wrote like, send me an email to this email address with your resume, and I'll see. You can't believe, like, I had like some 400 applicants, only 30 people send me an email,
Yes.
and
Or
among 30 people, 3 people actually put up an effort to write something on the email. So,
right. Like, and do you get a lot of this stuff too? Like I get a lot of like please hire me because I would be like so happy to have this position.
oh,
And it's like you cannot guilt people into hiring you.
oh
Um
wow.
like I don't and it's and it does like it does make me feel bad. And people don't want to feel guilty when they're thinking about hiring you, I
No,
guess.
it doesn't make me feel bad. I'm like, I feel like, dude, you have a long way to go. Please hang out. Like, sorry, there is a bug.
Yeah, like keep trying.
Yeah, yeah.
Because today's not the day, but
Yeah, yeah, you need to
um
improve, man. Like, nothing else. Because if even if like a person is writing a blog article, as simple as that, a blog has a purpose. I mean, rank high on search engine, give a lot of value. Even at that stage, they need to be somewhat persuasive, right? They have to sell the blog itself. They have to sell the next line, if nothing else. So, yeah, I mean, if
and
you
they've got to
can't
sell them on subscribing to the email list.
email us, at least that, yeah, yeah,
Because I mean
absolutely.
the ranking can come from technically executing well the SOPs. Because you know, Google's algorithm doesn't need to be persuaded, it just needs to see what it wants to see. But
Hmm.
yeah, like it's the persuasion and also to read the whole thing, the
Yeah,
on page time, that's basically persuading that you're persuading the people
Yeah.
who are reading to continue, like we were talking about the Joseph Sugarman, to read the next line, the next line, the next line.
Yep.
And a big part of the blog post is, you know, like you said, to sell probably an associated product with that topic, as well as a huge point. Like the main point of the blog post is you first ranking, but then second purpose, subscribed and
Subscribe.
want to get
Yes.
your info. And then
Yes.
usually a third purpose might be if they, some bloggers have like directly products that tie directly to certain topics that they have in their
Absolutely.
content pillars or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot, and it's not just with hiring copywriters, because I hire now for all, like the whole department. So do you see stuff like this in tech, like hiring programmers, hiring graphics designers, like a lot of low effort, or like, guys, if people write directions on how to apply, just
Follow
follow them.
them. Yeah.
Just follow.
And show some effort. Like some people, like I asked them to send me a resume, and there would be an email with a headline, resume for this, and there would be a resume. That's it.
Yep.
Nobody.
No extra information, like no portfolio, like
Not even an email body. It's like an email with a headline and an attachment. That's it.
yeah, and like at least just greet the person. If you know, it depends on the process that that one is asked to follow. But yeah, I mean, at least just like greet, hey Giant, I'm so and so reaching out to you from here. Because the other thing, you guys, that you have to keep in mind is that we are posting this stuff multiple places, usually, not just one place. So it is good for you to say, I found you on this post, this Facebook group, like this Reddit.
Personalization.
Exactly. Honestly, half the time I usually try to include the actual post. Like if I'm writing an email, I might say, hey, I found you from this post, and then I would link it, because I know that the people could be putting it out multiple places, or you guys usually were hiring for multiple positions.
Absolutely.
So you like,
and I would say, like, because people think hiring is like, oh, it's some corporate thing or something. But then again, like, it's human who read. It's not a robot who reads those emails, right? It's us. We need to have fun. We need to see who the other person is, and you need to write for the human that you are.
and I literally cannot tell you, Giant, how many people, like, I have a specific process that I ask people to follow when they apply, because I want to see that you can follow directions. If you can't follow directions, I'm not going to bother involving you in my client stuff, because this is not the you show. This is the team. Like, I'm trying to also find people to work on a team. Yes. So I can't have like lone wolf type of people. But so I will say stuff like, send me a message with this specific subject line as the first.
Oh, wow, nice. Great.
As the first, because I need to sort it. And also I have filter rules. Like you guys, the only person you're hurting by not following the directions is yourself. Because as I say in all my posts, by the way, if you don't follow these directions, I'm not going to reply to you. Exactly. The only person you're hurting is yourself. You have to keep in mind that, why do people say to have specific subject lines? You could be getting automatically sorted. You are getting automatically sorted by me. Like when I ask for that stuff, I have filters that will just pull all the copywriting posts that I just put into one. I click one button and see all that on my Gmail. All the graphics designer posts that I am hiring for, that's like a whole separate label. So if you're not doing that and people are telling you to write something specific, you're hurting yourself. The other thing that I write for the people is I will put numbered list of what it is that I want. The first one, number 1, I write, please write your favorite color as the first sentence of your application.
Crazy. Awesome.
And you would not believe, Giant, how many people email me or will write something and say like, haha, like, if I don't do that, are you really not going to reply to me? Delete. Nope, I'm not. Like, why?
You're not a team player. You're not listening to the instructions.
Right. And it's also just like, I mean, if you can't follow basic direction, and I don't even ask people for writing samples, literally what this, so I'll tell my screening process of that. The screening process is if you don't follow the directions, you're eliminated. Then I look at that, and that cuts it already in half to more. And it's also just like, I mean, I feel so like it feels picky, I guess, but also it's not. Like if you put the color in the subject line, you're eliminated. Like I didn't say that. I said to put it in the first, like if you can't do that basic thing,
Yeah,
how can I recommend to my client to hire you?
exactly. And money is online there, so you can't hire somebody who just can mess up like anytime.
Yeah, and it's my accountability and my responsibility in these roles with my clients that I am doing the hiring. I am putting forward the recommendations of who to hire, and it's coming out of their bank account. But obviously, like if the person doesn't work out, who's going to be answering for it is me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why this stuff is so important. And so from there, I'm eliminating more than half of the people instantly because they can't follow directions. Then I check the actual content of the message. Sometimes I delete stuff based on the content of the message, in the sense that like if you're just pretty much begging for the job or saying that you would love the job, but pretty much nothing else, like, you know, wouldn't we all love the job? Isn't that why we're applying? But and then sometimes I'll just eliminate it based on the message. Like if it's just not like there's not even grammar, because I don't even care that much about grammar, but if it's like
all those things can be
grasp
taught.
of English,
grammar can be taught, everything can be taught, but the intent can't be taught. Like, what is it in it for me? Like,
exactly. And it's like, what did you think that I needed to hear? Apparently not the right thing, or basically nothing, or literally nothing in your case, as if they didn't put any body in the message or whatever. But yeah, so sometimes it would be eliminated just if the message shows like not a lot of thought, kind of careless, not good grasp of English, like, you know, that I might eliminate it. And then I check the writing samples. And then from there, you're getting selected or eliminated based on your writing samples. And honestly, a lot of people's writing samples are not great either. So, you know, work on that. Or send writing samples, because on the other times, sometimes I get something with the information filled out, but then no skills demonstration, if that makes sense. So it's like you gotta follow the directions and demonstrate your skills.
Yep. I don't even ask them for results. Like many people are like, you should have proven results. I'm like, I don't want results. I just need to see the effort. Like, you tell me that you are interested in writing. Show me like at least a Word document. I don't even need a published Medium blog.
You know, it's like I want to see like, and it doesn't have to be like, yeah, the most hottest, greatest thing since sliced bread, but like something. And it also doesn't have to be like, people spend all this time on like trying to make their websites all fancy or whatever. Like you guys, I make 6 figures with a Word document. That's what my portfolio is. It's a Word document that links out to other
my best
Word
performing
documents.
funnel is a Google form with jobs.
Literally, like, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't, and also people waste so much time. Like people who are not making their first dollars with copywriting, but who are spending like weeks learning how to make a WordPress website for their non-existent.
Or even if you that part, samples. like you can literally hire a guy off Fiverr, like give them some $100 or something, like design, done.
Or also just who cares? Like if you're not making money, who cares? If you have made $0, don't hire a guy on Fiverr. Make $5 and then hire the guy on Fiverr. Like I'm a really big proponent of make your first dollars, make your first money, but also like bootstrap it's a freelance business. Okay. You're not a startup. You're not making a product. You're not manufacturing anything. So just bootstrap your freelance business. And if you can't make money to bootstrap your business, then maybe you're not going to be a good freelancer, and that's okay too. Like not everybody has to be a business owner. Because even you could be great at your skill and not a good freelancer. And that is totally fine. It's completely fine. Being being a freelancer is more than being good at your skill. There's a lot of people who are incredible copywriters, incredible graphics designers and programmers and everything like that, who still fail
Yeah.
because it takes
It's a part. It's a part of life.
sales skills. I mean, a lot of people, we should have a
Oh
whole
wow,
separate conversation
it's
about
like
freelance sales skills.
we should have
Because
like let's meet like next week or next to next week and just
yes,
talk about
yeah.
sales. It's so much so important. Like
So I have a whole process about that too.
yeah, me
Process step
too.
by
Yeah.
step, exactly what type of questions you should be asking
And the sequence of
wrong
questions that you should. Oh wow,
wrong questions to ask. Questions
yeah,
that people do ask that is just like a waste of time.
vanilla plain questions. Like oh, okay, we'll talk about that later. I think
Yeah,
this
we'll
is
save all
not.
that
We have
for the next
spoken for
time.
like 2 hours or something. But
I
yeah, Jamie,
know.
so awesome talking to you. Okay, final question.
Yes.
Name your top five copywriting books.
Oh
Favorite
gosh.
copywriter. Like
My top five
whatever comes to your mind.
copywriters. Whatever comes to my mind. Okay. I mean, the Robert Joel's How to Change Minds, I think that one is extremely important because of reasons we talked about before. You really need to understand how people make the purchasing decision process that they go through for the thing that you're marketing. Gotta get super clear on that. Number one. Number two, I like the David Ogilvy on advertising because that book, what I think is the most important lesson from that is don't talk down to your audience. Don't put yourself higher than your audience. Don't think that you're smarter than your audience. But also consider that they don't know what they don't know. So I think the important takeaway from that one is about having an educational and collaborative approach to marketing.
Yes.
So that is an extremely important one. The tested advertising, or I'm sorry, not the tested advertising methods.
Scientific.
The Adweek Copywriting Handbook
Copyright.
by Joe Sugarman.
Yes.
That is a great one because I think that is a good, if there was like a textbook about copywriting, I think that could be considered it. Yeah. It's a great book if it's like you want something to flip through and learn new techniques, new things that you can immediately apply. And that book, it's extremely easy to apply. You can learn, you want to read in there, you want to write better headlines. There's a little tips about writing better headlines, and then you could instantly take that and tweak your headlines or tweak your stuff. So that is
a lot of ideas from there all the time.
Yes, like it's still, yep, that's also on my, I think you could actually see the yellow spine right there. So, and that's the one on Giant's head right by his ear. Yes, that one is, that's an incredible book. What else? Like, it's like, if you really,
we got three
honestly,
right now.
Yeah, if you really only read those three, you would be way better off. I'm gonna look at my Goodreads really quick just to like jog my memory as well. Oh, okay, this is a good one. I just forget what exactly it's called. Let me just look at this this cover of this book. All right, this is going to be a good book for people who are doing that type of organizational or institutional selling like we were talking about. It's a book called Consultative Closing, and it's by a man named Greg Bennett. Pretty much the lesson of this book is it gives you background information on how this pairs great with the How to Change Minds, right? Like I think most marketers fail at having empathy for the person that they're selling.
Wow. I was waiting for that word to come up.
And here we are. I really think that a lot of marketers overall, not only copywriters, and even sometimes business owners as well, have struggled with empathy for the person that they're selling to, because like we talked about earlier, you don't know what you don't know. And in the sense that when you're the business owner, you're the expert, you know this product like the back of your hand because it's your baby. Like, you know it just as well as you know your own child. So sometimes you don't know what other people don't understand
Exactly.
about what it is your baby. And that's where marketers and copywriters are supposed to come in, as being that Google Translate, as being that bridge the gap between the two people. But it's also where a lot of marketers fail, is not understanding really well what's on people's minds, using their exact language in the copywriting. We didn't even touch on that, but that's
Yep.
like sentiment matching. That's like my whole technique that I teach, where you're looking to pull out words and phrases
Yes.
direct from people's mouth and use it in the copy. And sometimes business's ego gets in the way of, like, we want to say this type of tone and these type of words and this type of jargon, but
I would
we
like,
want to
bro,
explain
like
it to people
you,
how
you
they
take back your advance, please. I'm not working with you. If I was there,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And this book, that's the number one issue. If you want to become a better marketer, and going back to the Mech Labs things we were talking about with those quizzes of like, what split test won, this one or that one, if you're getting a lot of that stuff wrong, it's because you're not having this empathy to the person that you're selling it to, or
I
it's
was
not
I was
very
on a
strong.
team call once, and we were like I was starting to sell, and I think, yeah, like copywriting is essentially selling. Like what else? But when I was starting my sales career, and we were getting our sales calls reviewed, so our senior, we were talking to them, and he was talking about this empathy, and I was like, sir, is empathy one of the skills that we should learn? He's like, bro, this is the only skill you need to learn. Everything else will fall
Yes.
into place. Just learn, like, be empathetic. That's it.
That How to Change Minds book, the first one by Rob Jones, that's going to help you guys so much with that skill of empathy. And then also this one, consultative closing, it's really important to do, like, to take something abstract, something that your brain has no concept of, which is how other people make decisions, or in this case of consultative closing, how other organizations make decisions. And so basically, these two books are going to pair up really nice, to help you get that empathy skill. And the strengths of this book, The Consultative Closing, is that I'll tell you two things about it. The first thing about it is, if you're going to be selling in a organizational or institutional type of situation, this is like a great how-to book about that. And then the
Oh,
second
I
thing
was
about it,
reading this book.
oh yes, the spin cell. I know. That's actually going to be my other book.
Oh, I
Spin
love this
selling is
book.
an excellent one.
Yeah, I
But
like literally read this book like 7 times. Like
and you
one
could
of
read
the,
it 7 more times, because it's
yeah,
like, that is also, again, really into that empathy thing of understanding what's going on in people's minds. But the skill from consultative closing, the second part that I think everyone could take away, even if you're not selling to organizations, is that you should have the level of clarity about how people purchase, like come to purchase whatever it is that you're selling,
yeah,
that you should be able to make a checklist of every single step that people take to get there. And if you
yes.
cannot make that checklist of every single step, that if you don't understand every single step that somebody took to go from a stranger to getting into your clients, they took their money and then now they're in the getting a receipt. If you don't understand that, don't start trying to sell it.
Yep.
So that's the big lesson from this book, is that every sales process, decision-making process, can be broken down like that. And you got to learn how to do that. That's that empathy part. And if you are thinking about opening up your blank document and going on to the other parts of the process, but you cannot say with 100% certainty it takes people 23 steps to get they're going to see this Facebook ad, they're going to click here, they're going to do this, they're going to hear that, they're going to see this
Yep.
page,
Yep.
they're going to get these emails, they're going to get this, they got to click from here and go to the landing page, and then how do they take the money? Is it an online form? Do they have to get on a call? Do they have to
Yes.
schedule the company to come to their location and put together a proposal? And even past that, if the sales team has to talk to them and then put together a proposal, like you shouldn't stop caring after
Exactly.
they book that appointment with the sales team.
So
You
true.
really need
So
to
true.
understand the whole thing that happens. And then
And there is a
the
process to it,
after.
right? Like, it's such a beautiful method. Essentially, when you are advertising or you are bringing people down the funnel, you are basically increasing their attention span. I mean, imagine in Facebook, they have 3 seconds before they decide whether they want to watch cute cat videos or they want to like click on your,
Thing.
your link, right? You
Mm,
hold the attention for 3 seconds. Then your landing page holds the attention for, let's say, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, who knows, right? Then your course, your lead magnet, your info products holds their attention for, let's say, a week or 15 days or, let's say, a month, if it is that kind of a training. Then when you upsell them, you need to understand that this person has spent like a whole month with you,
mm-hmm.
and he has like his thought process has just been changed, and where he is before he is ready to take the leap. That,
Yes.
right? This is very important, and you're basically extending that attention span for, let's say, a month to 12 months, or let's say a whole year, 6 months or something like that. That's what we do basically when we sell. We increase the attention span, but we need to understand what our customer has gone through to get here and what they will be going through next.
And I really think, what do you think about this statement? What's your opinion on it? But I personally think that a, a big mistake a lot of beginner copywriters make is moving forward to start writing copy without understanding that.
Oh, so true. I'm like, unless you did your research and an outline is on place, like, don't start writing. Like,
Yes. And especially if you can't understand, or if you can't explain what people have to go through to become a client of the company that you're working with, because it can be complicated.
hmm,
It can be complicated.
yep,
Or also sometimes you have to know going into it if it's too complicated. And if the client needs to, make changes, tech stack level changes to how
hmm,
they're onboarding client. Like sometimes and if you're going to spend time in the sales call with a client before you decide to like work with them with a prospect, figuring that out, how
so
people
important.
actually become
Exactly.
clients, is more
See,
important than
like,
asking
so
them
many
like,
times it
what's
has
your brand
happened. Like,
voice?
I'd be on a sales call and like this tech stack problem. Like, let's say some people would be like, "What happens once I pay?" And if you don't understand, if let's say it's a techie problem, it's a software, let's say you're selling, and that software needs to be installed in their servers, and there is a whole tech thing going on. And if you don't know how long that process takes, who comes in at what time, and how they take the customer through the process, and what is the onboarding process, and after onboarding, what is the training process. If you don't
Yep.
understand that, you can't sell it to a client. Like when the client says, "What after I pay?" You'll be like, it'll be
Stuff,
stuff,
things,
right?
yeah. Stuff, it'll be good, don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's like the two main issues that it can lead to. That was a weird way to say to it. The two main issues that it could lead to is either a lack of sales, like if you're not properly understanding it, you're going to see the one of two things. You're either going to see not conversions, no sales, or you're going to see a lot of refunds.
Hmm.
And you don't want either of those, because even
Yeah.
if you can make a lot of sales, but you get 50% chargebacks, like your
Oh,
client's not going to be happy about that either.
yeah. Yep.
And
That's right.
so what was that? Was that book 4? So I have one more.
Consultative closing. Fifth one you mentioned, Neil Rackham's
Oh
spin selling.
yeah, well you showed that one, so I'll give them another one.
Okay.
I'll give them. You should check out Spin Selling as well. That's a great book.
All right.
Another one, like I'd call it a trilogy, even in the sense that these three will go together: the How to Change Minds, the Consultative Closing, and the Spin Selling. These books will really help you develop that empathy skill that we've been talking about. And I get it that when you're sitting here watching this video, it sounds weird. Like it sounds woo woo. Like how could there be a process? But there are. Read these books. The Spin Selling will help you understand exactly what questions to ask people, to dig out these answers. Actually, Spin Selling and the How to Change Minds go together like extremely well, because they're both around like your having an outcome that you want, which is either selling something or changing somebody's mind. But either way, you're wanting somebody to make a decision.
Yep.
And then they're giving you literal questions, a literal toolbox of questions
Yes.
to ask people to get the information that you need from them to learn what they need to hear to make a type of decision.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this book, spin selling, changed my whole sales process. Like, if I'm on a sales call for an hour and a half, I'll be like, for an hour and 10 minutes, I'll keep on asking questions. And the last 20 minutes, I'll make the pitch. Like, so, like, that changed my game altogether. It's awesome book.
And then I'm also going to hook you guys up in this playlist with even more book recommendations. I have a lot of videos about some of my favorite books for sales, for copywriting, and for freelancers.
You know what I should do? No need of a playlist. I'll just put in your YouTube channel straight up. Like, go to her YouTube channel, start binge watching her videos. Like, yes. I'll tell you, like, she is a very underrated YouTuber out there.
Before you spend $10,000 on courses or whatever, like, just watch all these videos, because they're hours and hours and hours of, I love teaching, I love sharing. And also, that's how you know that I'm worth my salt, if you will, that I'm not worried about sharing all this information, because I know I'm fine. So, but yeah, I really appreciate it. I definitely think that the biggest takeaway from this is if you guys want to develop that empathy skill with these books, ask better questions, get more curious. That will help you with your sales. That will help you be a better copywriter. It'll help you get better results for your clients. And of course, it's going to help you build a successful business. So
absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much for coming in. And I hope we have more and more to talk. Like, I'm absolutely, like, I'll be delighted if we just meet next week and we talk about sales
I would
for
love
2
to
hours.
do that.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Or we'll bring John Carlton in here.
Yes.
Like just
maybe you guys watching this, leave some questions below in the comments as well, because me and Giant will probably make more videos together, and we would love to answer your questions. Yes. Let us know what you want to see from us chilling, because I think that we could all co-create like a little series together as well. If you guys want to submit copy and have us review it, or you have specific questions and you want to review it, or you got topics you want us to address, we would love to address them, I think. So.
And one more test for you guys. Comment value in the video if you have watched till this point. And that'll be so awesome to see how many values we get. How many, like, if I get like 5 values in there, I'll be like, wow, I'm like done. Like, this video's purpose is done.
If I even got 1 value, that would really help. Like,
no, my people have a longer attention span.
Yes, I know. Your audience is the best. So I know that we're going to be getting hundreds of values, but
awesome. Thank you very much, Jamie, and see you on another video on another podcast. And yes, I'll be binge watching all your book reviews as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Giant, for having me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, your amazing audience. You watching this today, you're very special. You can do this. Me and Giant are here to help you all along the way.
Yes.